J'ai cherché ça et là, je ne les ai pas trouvés. Dis-moi, où sont mes pieds? Reviens, chérie, vers moi. Mes pieds n'importe pas. C'est toi qui peux me compléter. Nina nana marinare, goma varca mezzo mare. Io te parle non răspund, te se perse mezzo su. Te voria magna de vasa, ma ho paura di città. Cose guarde da lontane, costo cuore innamorata. Quando ci aspetta d'averti questa sera, costa luna piena. Quando ci ha sognato di dirti quanto t'amo, costo cuore ma tu sogni qui nel blu. Nina nana marinare, tu si bel come un mare, a volte calme senza creste, a volte tutta una tempesta. Ma tu suoni tante cose e chissà se ti ricordi che tra luna e mezze stelle io t'aspetto a braccia aperte. Quando ci aspettate d'averti questa sera, costa luna piena. Quando ci ha sognato di dirti quanto t'amo, costo cuore ma tu sogni qui nel blu. Nina na 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 na, Nina na 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 na, Nina na 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 na, Nina na 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 na. Amsterdam was her name before she was New York. New Amsterdam is a dame, the heart and soul of Big Apple City. No matter what name she goes under, I dig her deeply and no wonder, for she's been lovely to me, and I'm the better for having met her.
Amsterdam was her name before she was New York. New Amsterdam is our day.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this doctoral graduation ceremony of Stellenbosch University. Goeienaand, dames en here, hartlik welkom aan u elkeen by hierdie doktorale gradeplechtigheid van die Universiteit Stellenbosch. Vanweer die nasionale COVID-19 regulasies en universiteit se gesondheids- en veiligheidsprotokolle sal hierdie geleentheid bietjie anders daar uitsien as ons gewone seremonies. Ek het 'n langerige lysie van aankondigings waarvoor ek net u aandag vra. Along with the rest of the country, we closely followed the President's address last night to determine the possible impact of the newly announced regulations on our remaining graduation ceremonies this week. At a late night meeting of the organizing committee, we determined, based on the RSVPs, we received that we were compliant in terms of the new limit of 100 individuals for indoor gatherings. We've also been following strict health and safety protocols since the first ceremony yesterday morning. Due to COVID-19 regulations and our own protocols, this event, by necessity, has to be somewhat different from our regular ceremonies. Therefore, please do take note of the following. All graduands and guests have been assigned unique seat numbers. Please do not change seats, as the seating record will also be used in case any potential contact tracing becomes necessary. Only the essential staff members required to constitute a congregation will be present at this event. Thank you for understanding that we had to limit the number of guests you could invite. In light of the latest announcements by the President, this enabled us to still proceed with our ceremonies, as we have fewer than 100 attendees per event. Rest assured that this hall is thoroughly cleaned and disinfected before and after each ceremony. The wearing of a mask is mandatory for both graduands and guests for the full duration of the ceremony, including when graduands cross the stage. Please maintain a safe distance of at least 1.5 meters from others at all times. And also please do note that no food may be brought into or consumed in this venue. Only water is permitted inside the venue. And now to the ceremony itself. We will not be singing the national anthem as is our custom, but instead listen to an instrumental version of it directly after the procession has entered the hall. When we get to the awarding of degrees, graduands will be called up to cross the stage, but there will be no handshaking by the Chancellor or hooding by the Registrar in order to comply with COVID-19 regulations. At the conclusion of the ceremony, once the procession has left, we respectfully request that you exit the venue and the building swiftly, so that cleaning and sanitizing with a view to the next ceremony may commence as soon as possible. Please do not congregate in the foyer photographs, but rather capture those special moments outside in front of the building or in the beautiful Victoria Street. Kindly ensure that you take along any waste items such as water bottles, tissues, the program booklets, etc. When you exit the venue, there are disposal bags provided. If guests and graduands unfortunately do not adhere to these conditions, we have no choice but to request that you leave the venue. Dames en here, baie dankie vir u geduld met die talle aanwysings. Dis natuurlik in ons almal se belang. Some good news at least, this graduation ceremony can be followed via live streaming from anywhere in the world. In case you are not aware of this, you are welcome to share the following URL with family and friends. That is the university's web address, www.sun.ac.za/streaming. www.sun.ac.za/streaming. Please note that load shedding may interrupt internet connectivity and therefore also live streaming, but you will be able to access a recording of the event afterwards on YouTube. That's also via our streaming page. Load shedding will, however, not end this ceremony. We have a generator on standby. If a power outage should occur, please remain seated while we switch over to emergency power. We also request that you please switch off your cell phone or keep it on silent for the duration of the ceremony. But you are, of course, welcome to share your graduation experiences on social media with the hashtag SUGrad. If you do take photographs, please switch off the sound, of course, and also the flash function. Dames en here, ons is gereed om met die plegtigheid te begin. Ons vra dat u sal opstaan vir die akademiese prosesie en sal bly staan tot nadat ons na die nasionale lied geluister het. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the academic procession and remain standing until after we have listened to the national anthem. Baie dankie.
ladies and gentlemen. Goeienaand, Mweni. Ons begin ons verrigtinge vanaand met die instrumentele weergawe van ons nasionale lied. We won't be singing the national anthem for reasons of infection control, obvious reasons, but we begin our solemn but joyful ceremony this evening with a rendition of the national anthem. Baie dankie dames en here. Sal jy asseblief die sitplekke inneem. I now have the pleasure to exercise one of the few powers of a Chancellor, een van die min magte wat aan die kanselier toevertrou is. En dit is om hierdie kongregasie van die Universiteit Stellenbosch behoorlik geconstitueerd te verklop. I hereby declare that this congregation of the University of Stellenbosch has been properly constituted. Dames en here, my naam is Edwin Cameron. Ek het in Januarie kanselier geword. Dit is vir my 'n geweldige eer om vanaand hier te wees by u graduering. En ek gaan 'n paar van die mense op die verhoog aan u voorstel. Ek dink u ken hulle reeds. On my regterkant is die rector, Professor Wim de Villiers. On his right is the registrar, Dr. Renel Retief, and on the left is our dean of engineering, whom I think you all know, Professor Wikus van der Kerk. There's even here Davids. And on my left is someone I haven't met, whom you will see who's going to be honored. Ek is bly om u te ontmoet, meneer. Mr. Davids, who is going to receive a special award this evening. Ek wil begin deur te besin en vir u te vra om ook te besin oor die ramp wat ons getref het vanjaar. En dis nie net 'n negatiewe besinning nie, inteendeel. Die feit dat u vanaand hier is, the fact that you are here, having completed your dissertations, your publications, your research, your writing up, is an enormous credit to you given the catastrophe that hit us all, that hit our economy, that hit the jobs, that hit the restaurants, that hit 2 million unemployed people this year, and a 350 billion hole in our national revenue collection. We are in a sad plight from what has happened this year. But at the same time, we have made excellent contingency planning, and I'm particularly proud of the rector and his team. Die rector en sy span het van die beste tersiêre beplanning gedoen om to get teaching and learning and research continued at Stellenbosch. One fact that I'm particularly proud of is that some 2,000 laptops were made available, many of them to less resourced students, so that students could have access to continue learning. A wonderful effort. And the fact that we are here this afternoon is a credit to that effort. I want to say a bit about the fact that we are here. It was obvious from late even in lockdown level 1 that we would not be able to go ahead with ordinary graduations. So the executive debated for a long time whether to have ingekorte, kortgeknipte, ingeperkte gradeplechtighede. And much to my joy, late last week, het hulle besluit dat ons wel voortgaan en wel met u. And there's a reason for that. We have 138 PhD's, 138 van u, wat gister, vandag en môre u graad. Is iets besonderliks en daar's 'n rede daarvoor. The highest output of a serious academic institution, of any tertiary institution, is you. The concentration, the collation, the processing, the synthesization of knowledge and its transmutation into addition to human knowledge and understanding. And that is why we decided to go ahead with this. And I'm very, very pleased that we did. Maar gisterand het die president natuurlijk die volk toegespreek. En hy het addisionele, ons geweet daar gaan addisionele beperkings kom. Ons was nie seker laat gistermiddag of ons nog vandag sou kon voortgaan nie. En Dr. Retief en haar span was reg gewees, so het 9 uur vergader tot 12 uur. Ek dink van u het die e-posse gisteraan 12 uur ontvang. Ek hoop dat dit gepiep in die inbox. En daar is besluit dat ons vandag en môre kan voortgaan. Daar's minder as 100 mense in hierdie saal en dis vir ons almal 'n geweldige voorreg om hier te wees. Met daardie woorde verwelkom ek u. My rol is nie heeltemal verby nie, maar daar's nog 'n paar woorde wat ek wil sê. Maar met daardie verwelkoming wil ek ook vir die vrae om te luister na 'n verwelkoming in isiXhosa deur professor Malwande Tlali van ons Departement van Afrikaanstale. Hy sal nou vir u verwelkom.
Molweni manene na manenekazi. Siyanamkela kumsitho wothusuzidanga kule veki. Siyathemba ukuba olu suku luza kuba neenkumbulo ezintle kwabo baza kube bethweswa izidanga kwiintsapho zabo kunye nezihlobo ngokubanzi. Manene na manenekazi, sizama ngako konke esinako ukubiza amagama abantu ngendlela efanelekileyo. Ndiqinisekile uDean nesekela lakhe bebezama ngako konke okusemandleni ukuziqhelanisa noku, kodwa okuyinyani sinabo baza kube bethweswa izidanga, abasebenzi kunye neendwendwe ezivela kwiindawo ngeendawo ezahlukeneyo, ezineelwimi ezahlukeneyo, nezo zivela ngaphaya kwemida yaseMzantsi Afrika. Yiyo loo nto sicela ukuba nibe nenyameko kuba singakufumanisa kungumcelimngeni ukubiza amanye amagama kunye neefani. Enkosi.
Siyabulela, mfundisi. Hartelijk welkom dan, meneer Rodney Davids, aan u. Formeel weet ek nie nou welkom, as ook die gaste. Meneer Davids gaan kanseliers uitmuntendheids toekenning later ontvang. En 'n spesiale welkom ook aan een van u, meneer Matthew Baas en sy gaste. Meneer Baas, waar is u? Die gaan later opkom. En die gaan baie hoor hoekom hy gaan opkom. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me say how honored I am. As I mentioned, I became Chancellor in January. Many years ago, I was a student here. I spent 4.5 years here. I did my undergraduate law degree and then I did an honors here. Ek het in Wilgenhof gebly. Dis dit 'n klap teen my naam. Ek kan maar sê. En dit was vir my 'n wonderlike tydperk in my lewe. It was a wonderful time when many of my most deep-rooted friendships and associations and networks were founded. And I hope that has also been the case for you. I have undisguised pride in what Stellenbosch is achieving. I was a judge for 25 years, and I retired from the Constitutional Court last year, where I spent my last 11 years as a judge. And the two things I'm doing now in my retirement are that I'm inspecting judge of prisons and I'm Chancellor of Stellenbosch University. Do you see the causal connection between the two? Dankie dat u lag. Ek waardeer dit. So we are really proud of the fact that the university has held itself together in such extraordinary circumstances. 5,701 students are graduating over these 3 days. 10 days ago, the Vice-Chancellor and the Registrateur and I recorded Zoom recordings which have been taking place, and we've got feedback on them, very good feedback, where undergraduates and masters and honours students and diplomates have been getting their qualifications. And as I said, a total of 138 of you are getting your doctorates today, and that is because you represent the highest output of an academic institution that takes itself seriously. We now go over to the conferral of degrees, but I want to do something that I know you're going to enjoy. You didn't get here on your own. We have in our statutes 10 duties that are incumbent upon a studieleier, upon a promoter, a thesis supervisor. And I think that you had a hard time from some of your supervisors. You had a hard time, you can say so. They're not looking at you. No hard time. Kan u beloof? Okay. You'll come up here and take an oath before me. But the work of a supervisor is enormously important. It's underrated. And you got the moral support, you got the academic rigor, you got the vision of the future. May I ask all the supervisors who are present to stand and let us applaud them. Baie dankie. I want to tell you what is going to happen now. Professor van Niekerk is going to take over the proceedings at the podium, and you will be led to there, and your thesis subject will be read out, and your supervisor will be mentioned. You will then come here. We won't shake hands, unfortunately, but we will acknowledge each other. I'm going to be seated for a practical reason. I wasn't seated yesterday morning when we started, and the photographer discovered that all the graduands were receiving their PhD with my head cut off. So the photographer said, please sit. So I'll be sitting as well. And I want to say one thing more. This is your moment. You may use it as you like, but don't hurry it. Stand here, turn around. We are recording this. We will post it to the web. For those of you who want your parents to see that particular moment, or your friends, you can clip it and put it onto YouTube, onto TikTok. Wave to them. Hoekom is dit so snaaks? I've never been on TikTok. In elk geval. Maar jy kan dit daar sit. And take your moment. Yesterday, ek het die landbouers probeer oorreed om selfs 'n dansie uit te voer. En hulle het my net so aangekyk. Toe vroeër vanmiddag met van u mede-fakulteitsgenoot het ek gesê, sal die ingenieurs nie ten minste een van julle net 'n dansie doen. En die ingenieurs in die voorste ry het gesê, nee, gaan een van u dalk 'n dansie doen? Anyone who's going to do a dance here this afternoon? Yes. So u het hom genomineer. Ek kan sien u gaan dit doen, meneer. So make it your moment. Acknowledge it. Take a few seconds if you like. Take as long as you like. We are here for you, and we are so enormously proud, and we're proud of what the Dean has achieved. Betaan oor na u.
Mr. Chancellor, I request you to acknowledge the following candidates who graduated in March 2020 with a doctoral qualification. These candidates will cross the stage for ceremonial purposes only. Reinhard Boeing, with dissertation, Development of a Monitoring and Evaluation Framework for Sustainability Assessment of Microtransit Systems. Supervisor, Professor Sarah Grobbelaar.
Baie geluk, Reinhard.
Eunice Sefakor Aku Dogby, with dissertation Exergy, Techno-Economic and Exergo-Economic Analysis for Improving Energy Efficiency of a Typical Sugar Mill and Designing Integrated Biorefineries, with Supervisor Professor Johan Gergens.
Congratulations.
Emma Kleinans, with dissertation, The Development of a Policy Analysis Logic Model to Support Public Medicine Availability Initiatives in the Context of VAN. Supervision by Dr. Hubert van Eden. Baie geluk.
Baie geluk, Emma.
Maximilian Juan Schurer, with dissertation, Towards the Interoperability of Spontaneous Reporting Systems in Pharmacovigilance, a maturity model approach with socio-technical system focus, supervised by Professor Louis Lau.
Congratulations, Maximilian.
Hendrik Andries Snyman, with dissertation, Towards a Strategy Formulation Framework that Supports Small to Medium Enterprises, Survival and Growth, supervised by Mr. Konrad von Leipzig. Baie geluk.
Baie geluk, Hendrik.
Ricardo Marlow Swanepoel, with dissertation, Improving the Fluid Phase Boundary Predictions of Solvent plus LLDPE Systems of Commercial Interest. Supervision provided by Professor Kara Schwartz, sitting over there.
Baie geluk, Ricardo.
Shane van Heerden, with dissertation, A Framework for Conducting Road Accident Risk Evaluations Using Network Spatial Analysis and Machine Learning Techniques, supervised by Professor Jan van Vieren.
Baie geluk, Shane.
Meneer die kanselier, ek versoek u om die graad dokter in die wysbegeerte in die fakulteit ingenieurswese aan die kandidate wat ek aan u voorstel te verleen. Mr. Chancellor, I request you to confer on the candidates whom I'll present to you the degree Doctor of Philosophy in the Faculty of Engineering. Imke Hanlu de Kok, with dissertation Managing Technology Within the Context of Sustainability Transitions, an integrated framework, with supervisor Professor Alan Brent. She's also one of our colleagues.
Baie geluk aan u. Dank u.
Elaine Fouchier with dissertation, Development of a Participatory Planning Approach for Energy Sustainability at the Local Government Level, supervised by Professor Alan Brent. And she did that with our colleagues in Hessequa, and now we can't even swim in the ocean over the holidays. All the best.
Baie geluk, Elaine.
Godfrey Kabungu Gagingu with dissertation, Oxygen Transfer in Cell-Free and Simulated Alkyne-Based Bioprocesses, Computational Fluid Dynamic Simulations and Predictive Modeling, supervised by Professor Toby Lowe. Congratulations.
Well done, Godfrey.
Oyama Gua with dissertation, Optimization of Nutrient Input to Integrate Aquaponic Systems through Mineral Supplementation by way of Fish Feed Additives, with supervisor, Professor Neil Goosen. Congratulations.
Well done, Oyama.
Jacqueline Katzmeier with dissertation, A Framework for Evaluating Unstructured Text Data Using Sentiment Analysis, supervised also by Professor Jan van Vuren. Baie geluk.
Well done, Jacqueline.
Lindleen Runyararo Mugwagwa with dissertation, fractionation of agro waste to produce biopolymers and bioactive compounds for active food packaging, supervised by Dr. Annie Chimpangu. Congratulations.
Well done, Lindy.
Lucas Johannes Swart with dissertation, Techno-Economic Analysis of the Valorization of Brewers' Spent Grains, Production of Xylitol and Xylo-oligosaccharides, supervised by Professor Jan Gergens. Baie geluk.
Baie geluk.
Meneer die kanselier, ek versoek u om aan die kandidate, wie se name ook aan die voorgelê is, maar wat nie hier teenwoordig is nie, die onderskeie grade in hulle afwesigheid te verleen. Mr. Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree on those candidates whose names have been presented to you, but who could not attend in their absence.
In hulle afwesigheid ken ek die grade toe aan die kandidate wie se name aan my voorgelê is vir die onderskeie grade wat hulle verwerf het. I confer in absentia the degrees on the candidates whose names have been put before me for their respective degrees. Thank you, Mr. Dean.
Mr. Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, Stellenbosch University annually awards only one Chancellor's Medal to a final year student or a postgraduate student who has not only excelled academically, but has also contributed to campus life in various ways and worked hard at developing co-curricular attributes. The Chancellor's Medal was first instituted in 1961. Die Universiteit Stellenbosch ken jaarliks hierdie medalje toe aan net een finalejaar student of 'n nagraadse student wat uitnemend gepresteer het. Die ontvanger ontvang die medalje gewoonlik by sy/haar gradeplegtigheid in Desember sonder dat hulle vooraf daarvan in kennis gestel word. The recipient usually receives this medal at the particular graduation ceremony without them being notified about this. It is a big surprise. But because of the COVID-19 regulations, we had to replace our physical undergraduate ceremonies this year with virtual degree ceremonies. So daarom moes ons die ontvanger vir jaar vooraf in kennis stel en hom nooi om vanmiddag hierdie doktorale plegtigheid vir die oorhandiging van die kanseliersmedalje by te woon. Mr. Chancellor, I hereby request that you award the Chancellor's Medal for 2020 to Mr. Matthew Brandon Baas. Mr. Baas, will you please join us on stage?
Meneer Baas, u kan hier wacht.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Baas enrolled for the B Engineering degree, Electrical and Electronic Engineering at Stellenbosch University in 2017 and was awarded the degree cum laude today. He has achieved the highest average mark ever recorded in the Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering and the Faculty of Engineering. He achieved a final mark of 100% for more than a third of his modules and has passed every year of study with distinction. In addition, Mr. Baas achieved a mark of 100% for his final year project. The project has been accepted for presentation at SACER, an international conference that focuses on artificial intelligence, and an article has already been accepted for publication in the Springer's book series titled Communications in Computer and Information Science. Dr. Herman Kamper, the supervisor of his final year project, stated, "I think what Matthew accomplished for his scriptie, his final year project, in just a few months would have been difficult for an experienced postgraduate student to do in 2 years." Over his years of study, he has achieved numerous awards for academic achievement, won several entrepreneurial competitions and data science hackathons, and participated in national and international conferences. Mr. Baas is not only an excellent student, but exceptionally active as a researcher too. He published and co-published several papers and delivered several talks. He is also one of the co-founders of the start-up company Ackerview. The company provides solutions for intelligent fertilization of stone fruit orchards. Mr. Baas is responsible for the company's back-end software and data science development, which he performs on a part-time basis. But his talents and interests also extend beyond the academic sphere. He is an active participant in esports and board gaming societies on campus and is a member of the Guild Student Society, particularly for the card game Magic the Gathering. Mr. Vice Chancellor, I hereby request that you award Stellenbosch University's prestigious Chancellor's Medal for 2020 to Mr. Matthew Brandon Baas.
Congratulations. Welcome. That's the time. That's the time.
Meneer die kanselier, dames en here, dit is 'n uitstaande kenmerk van instellings wat op uitnemende prestasie ingestel is, dat verskillende vlakke en forme van erkenning aan uitmuntende presteerders gebied word. In die konteks van die Universiteit Stellenbosch sluit dit onder andere kanselierstoekennings in wat gefokus is op volgehoue uitmuntendheid in navorsing en of leer en onderrig en of gemeenskapsinteraksie en of administrasie. So it is an outstanding feature of institutions that focus on excellent performance, that excellent achievers get rewarded in different ways. And in the context of Stellenbosch University, this recognition includes the Chancellor's Awards, which focus on sustained excellence in research and or learning and teaching and or community interaction and or administration. In the Faculty of Engineering, one of the recipients of the Chancellor Award for 2020 is Mr. Rodney Davidson. I have the pleasure of presenting the following motivation in respect of Mr. Davidson. The sustained efforts by Mr. Rodney Davidson over 46 years of employment at Stellenbosch University have ensured the smooth functioning of teaching initiatives in the Department of Civil Engineering. Sy volgehoue bydrae oor so lang tydperk, 46 jaar, weerspieël die toewyding van een individu wat self slegs 'n beperkte geleentheid gehad het tot primêre en tersiêre opleiding, tot die akademiese prestasies van verskeie generasies ingenieurstudente. Gedurende sy loopbaan het hy altyd gestreef na verbetering en verandering in sy eie rol en sy omgewing, en hy bied onfeilbaar ondersteuning ver wyer as wat van hom verwag word. Mr. Chancellor, I request that you present the Chancellor's Excellence Award to Mr. Rodney Davidson. Ek versoek u om die kanselierstoekenning vir uitnemendheid aan meneer Rodney Davidson te oorhandig.
Baie geluk meneer Davidson. Baie trots op u. Ons is nou aan die einde van ons program. Het u dit geniet? Baie dankie. Ek is bly jy het, want dit is ook vir ons 'n klein noot dat u hier is. It is an absolute treasure for us that we've been able to do this. And we congratulate you from our hearts. We are very pleased that we have shown excellence in two ways to you, with Mr. Davidson and Mr. Baas, and also excellence in each one of your achievements. A few more things. Stay in touch. We would like you to join the alumni. There are alumni hubs in every city in South Africa, and there are alumni hubs abroad. Daar's ook matiesconnect.com waar u werk kan gaan soek, die eie profielpos, u kan netwerke daar ontwikkel en in aanraking bly met ander graduandi van die universiteit. And of course, we are going to have all these graduation ceremonies, as I mentioned before, up on the web, so you'll be able to get them there as well. And a final word. I think that to achieve a qualification like yours is a singular attainment in a difficult world. And I know that from what I heard of your theses tonight, that you will make a difference in our world, to our continent, to our region, and the world at large. So I congratulate you, but at the same time, I've got one final very pleasant duty, which is to invite you to join me in thanking those who, within your family, within your friendship circle, within your sponsorship circle, made it possible for you to be here tonight. Let's ask the family members and sponsors and friends to stand up, and let's applaud them. Baie dankie dames en here, u kan weer die sitplekke inneem. Ek gaan vir u oor 'n paar oomblikke vra om te staan as die akademiese prosesie die die verhoog verlaat en bly staan dit toe ons uit is. I'm going to ask you in a few moments to stand when we leave the stage. It's part of the formality and part of the ceremoniality and solemnity of this occasion which you have earned. You know, het ek my sluitingsplig, which I greatly enjoy doing by virtue of the powers vested in me as Chancellor of this university. I hereby declare that this congregation of the University of Stellenbosch is closed. Ek verklaar hiermee kragtens die mag aan my verleen as kanselier dat hierdie kongregasie van die universiteit gesluit is. Baie dankie.